The Antarctic Sun, Unveiling the Truth Behind Flat Earth. 3 objectives for this video. 1. To portray an accurate time sequence of sun footage during our flight. 2. To provide an animation of what we saw on the flight. We asked Sweetheart by Jenny to help us portray the events on our flight with her incredible digital animations. 3. To correct the errors we unknowingly made in the first video. The errors in our previous video included A. Incorrect timestamps. B. Stating there were no lens flares at some points, but there were lens flares. C. The addition of one piece of footage from a different flight. D. Our most pertinent error was stating we saw no sunspots in Antarctica. We arrived at 9:30 p.m. and stated that we saw no sunspots in Antarctica. However, we had footage of sunspots at 10:18 p.m. in our video. No one reported this error to us, but we are grateful our father opened our eyes and showed us this error about 10 days after the release of our video. Consequently, we have taken a number of weeks to put this video together and checked it thoroughly. Our flight in Antarctica. This was our flight route provided by Antarctica Flights. This is the flight path we followed as indicated by Flight Radar 24, QF1330. Using this information, we can make approximate times for 5 p.m. departed from Melbourne, 9:30 p.m. arrived in Antarctica, 1:45 a.m. departed from Antarctica, 6:30 a.m. arrived in Melbourne. It was incredible to know that we were flying at midnight, but Antarctica was lit up fully and looked like a bright, sunny day. The sun or sunlight was able to be seen for our entire flight throughout the night. During our flight, we witnessed the midnight sun, the reflected sun, the inverted sun and sunspots in Antarctica. We took 2 Nikon P1000 cameras, 1 solar filter, 2 Samsung cameras and 1 compass. The Nikon cameras recorded differently to the Samsungs. Therefore, we have labeled all footage as follows. N1 equals Nikon P1000, N2 equals Nikon P1000, S1 equals Samsung S24, S2 equals Samsung A04S. We also took a series of newer filters, including an infrared filter. We only found one video that worked well with the infrared. Please be kind with our photography skills, as it was very difficult to use the heavy cameras without a tripod in a moving plane. Note, the photos and videos with a dark background are taken with a solar filter. This video will be a collection of photos and videos of the sun in Antarctica. For those who want to view our photos and videos of Antarctica, please see our playlist titled, Our Flight to Antarctica to Witness the Midnight Sun. Our channel, Following the King, is found on YouTube, Facebook, and Telegram. Sunspots. Sunspots tend to rotate clockwise every day. Don't Sphere the Truth informed us that in a day sunspots usually travel clockwise, but sometimes the sunspots move counterclockwise. Karen B also shows that sunspots can move clockwise, but also move in other directions too. Using crepuscular rays. The sun is about 5,000 kilometers above Earth. The moon is about 4,928 kilometers above Earth. The moon is about 72 kilometers below the sun. Sunspots in Melbourne. Note, all sunspot videos have been slowed to 0.1 times speed. Screenshot of sunspots in Melbourne from ground. Sunspots on flight towards Antarctica. Sunspots in Antarctica. We have been going over the flight footage in detail, and we pray we have collated the most accurate recount of the sun footage possible. Remember, we were in Antarctica for approximately 4 hours and 15 minutes. We arrived in Antarctica about 9:30 p.m. and departed Antarctica about 1:45 a.m. We observed that all sunspots in Antarctica were blurry and unable to be focused on. This could be due to looking through the plane's windows or the sun being reflected across the firmament. Sunspots on return flight. Comments on our previous videos. We received numerous reports of comments being deleted on our channel. We rarely delete comments. We may create a video about this, as we have been screenshotting comments. Our observations of the sun. The differences we observed during our flight were: 1. The sun changed. A. Direction. The sun suddenly and unexpectedly started moving upwards. B. Intensity. The sun started getting brighter and whiter. C. Color. The sun went from yellow to white to orange to yellow. D. Size. The sun started getting bigger. At all times during the flight, we could see A. The actual sun, B. The reflected sun, and sometimes the inverted sun, or C. Sunlight. We never saw the dark of night during our entire flight. 2. The reflected sun and the inverted sun were seen only with a Nikon P1000 with solar filter while we were in Antarctica around midnight. 3. We saw sunspots at various times during our whole flight. However, the sunspots were blurry and difficult to focus on over Antarctica. 4. We saw the reflected sun on the horizon in the morning between 5:04 a.m. and 5:13 a.m. These factors support a flat Earth with a firmament, not a globe. Animation by Sweetheart by Jenny. We departed Melbourne flying towards Antarctica, and the sun was located on our right. The sun was getting smaller and dimmer as it moved away from us, and it was yellow in color. We could see the sun setting as the skyline was becoming more orange in color. At 9:54 p.m., the sun changed suddenly and noticeably. When we looked at the sun, it was no longer yellow and moving away. Instead, the sun became very bright and very white, and it became very difficult to look at the sun. In addition to the color change, the sun stopped moving away and going down from our visual perspective and started moving higher in the sky. People on the plane were putting on their sunglasses to ease the glare. Reflecting on our experience, we believe the yellow sun was the actual sun. We saw the actual sun departing and returning to Australia. We believe the white sun was the sun being reflected off the firmament, which we saw from about 9:54 p.m. to about 2:10 a.m. Therefore, the actual sun was not being viewed anymore, and instead we believe we were seeing the bright, white, reflected sun being mirrored from the actual sun across the firmament. While recording sunspots, we just happened to observe the reflected sun in the inverted sun. We only observed this inverted sun around midnight. Being at a high altitude gave us a different view of the sun than on the ground. On the return flight, the white, reflected sun followed us from behind. We determined this from the color of the sky. Around 2:10 a.m., the skyline started slowly becoming more orange, so we believe we started seeing the sunlight from the actual sun. About 3:30 a.m., we started seeing the sunlight shining through the clouds. At 4:19 a.m., the pilot turned the plane to the right and we were able to see the actual sun. This was when we saw the smaller, reflected sun on the horizon next to the actual sun. As the morning progressed, the sun lost its orange tinge and became more of a yellow color. What is a reflected sun and an inverted sun? The best explanation we have is to recall how a rainbow works. A rainbow needs to reflect off the dome, and sometimes we see a double rainbow. The brighter rainbow at the bottom is reflected off the firmament. The upper rainbow is a reflection of the lower rainbow from the firmament, but it is inverted and duller, i.e. red is now on the bottom of the rainbow instead of the top. This is similar to what we believe happened in Antarctica. At 11:53 p.m., we zoomed in on two circular objects for the first time. One bright white light at the bottom and another duller light above. We believe we saw the reflection of the actual sun off the firmament, creating a brighter reflected sun and the inverted sun above it. After researching the two circular objects, we are quite clearly convinced we have extremely rare footage of the reflected sun and inverted sun. Clearly, we need others to go to Antarctica during December and January and confirm if these circular shapes are also seen from the ground and if they are able to see them separately as we did. During this footage, we were able to 1. Zoom in on the reflected sun and the inverted sun. 2. View the reflected sun and the inverted sun independent of each other being in the camera frame. 3. Show the reflected sun and inverted sun separating. 4. During our whole flight, we could only see the inverted sun with the Nikon P1000 Plus solar filter at 3 times. How could the reflected sun and inverted sun possibly be lens flares? 1. Both maintain equal distance from each other. 2. Both maintain size, even when each left the camera's field of view. 3. The brighter, reflected sun was always on the bottom, and the duller, inverted sun was always on the top. 4. We could see the lens flare and blue moving around. 5. We were able to zoom in on both independently. Video footage of the sun during flight. At 9:54 p.m., the sun suddenly changed. This was when we believe the actual sun changed to the reflected sun. From about 1:20 a.m., the white reflected sun was behind the plane. The best we could manage was to flip the Samsung phone upside down and record the sunrise. This meant the camera was as close as possible to the plane's window. Neither of the Nikon P1000s could zoom in at the back of the plane due to the huge width of the lenses. With an infrared filter, we see the two bumps on the horizon. We rarely use this filter during our flight. This is the darkest it ever became during our flight. The smaller bump is what we believe is a reflection of the actual sun off the dome. The two bumps on the horizon were taken with two different Samsung cameras. Photos and videos with Nikon P1000 and solar filter. These videos and photos look like they are taken at night, but they are actually taken while there is sunlight showing. Many videos show the reflection of lens flares on the plane's windows. Notice how the reflection moves around. the reflected sun and the inverted sun. The following footage was by far the most amazing footage we captured. Using the solar filter, we saw two distinct objects. The circular shape underneath, reflected sun, was brighter than the circular shape above, inverted sun. This could not have been a lens flare because both shapes stayed an equal distance apart and were the same size. Also, we were able to zoom in on both shapes. As the plane was moving continuously over Antarctica in various directions, it was extremely frustrating to film at times. We have provided the full 2 minutes of video footage showing the separation of the reflected sun and inverted sun. Let's slow down this footage and notice how the reflected sun and the inverted sun both leave the camera's view, yet we could still see the other one. Who notices the differences? Reflected sun, reflecting the actual sun off the dome. Inverted sun, mirroring the reflected sun off the dome. Lens flare, reflection off the plane's window. Let's compare this with a rainbow. Reflected rainbow, rain droplets and sunlight reflecting off the dome. Inverted rainbow, mirroring the reflected rainbow off the dome. The reflected sun and the inverted sun separate. Paul Cox and the second sun. Paul Cox talks about a second sun. However, we believe this extra sun is a reflection of the firmament. Paul Cox tells us that there is a second sun in this clip, but it is hidden by NASA. Why does Google have no information on second sun and Paul Cox at this time? How many suns were created? His word is very clear that only one sun was created, and Aurora made two great lights. The greater light sun to rule the day and the lesser light moon to rule the night. He made the stars also. Therefore, we do not use the terminology second sun, as this is contrary to his word. Does light reflect across a dome? The purpose of this model is to show that light does reflect across a glass surface. The sun never disappeared from one side of the plane, then suddenly appeared on the other side of the plane, as this model shows. Instead, we saw the sun move away from us, then suddenly, 1. Move up, 2. Change from yellow to white, 3. Start growing bigger in size. This video by GeoTruth explains how a 24-hour sun is possible on a flat Earth with a firmament. Navigation data proves firmament. Mirroring occurs due to the crystalline firmament. 24-hour sunlight occurs at -66.56 degrees latitude to -90 degrees latitude. GeoTruth makes the claim that there is an error on the Gleason's map. We can confirm that there is indeed an error on the Gleason's map. We still use the Gleason's map for many applications. Matty Jordan's videos of Midnight Sun. Matty was on one of the 2 flights across Antarctica. These are Matty's videos of the Midnight Sun in Antarctica. Matty provided a time-lapse of the sun in Antarctica. He tells us that the summer solstice happens when the sun is highest in the sky at noon. Note, we do not believe in the tilt of the Earth, but am more interested in his observations of the sun in Antarctica. We love how the light is reflected off the firmament, just like a circular rainbow. What a spectacular sunrise in Antarctica. We just had to add in Matty's photos of Aurora Australis. Michelle's channel on Antarctica. Michelle from Wandereatwrite describes Antarctica like this. Around midnight, the sun is always behind the ceremonial South Pole. It circles higher and higher until the summer solstice on December 21st, and then it'll begin its way back down. Note, there is no South Pole on a flat Earth with firmament. Using Michelle's information, we can confirm that the sun traveled in circles above her head. She did not confirm if the color or size of the sun changed. Sky Video Productions. Rob Quee created a USB of images and videos as memorabilia of our flight to Antarctica. Following is a 1-minute highlight of his footage from our flight.
You're getting the shadows because the sun is getting quite low on the horizon. It won't get dark, and as the sun gets a bit lower in the horizon, the whole area is going to take on a much more golden hue, and we're getting these shadows which we don't get other times when we come down here in the middle of the day, I'll say, because we're in the middle of the night right at the moment.
Thanks Rob Quee from Sky Video Productions for allowing us to share a 1-minute highlight from your 1-hour video. Special thanks. While listening to a lie by Eddie, he kept insisting that anyone who believes in a 24-hour sun is deceived. We felt we had to write a comment and let him know the truth. Eddie is correct because there is no actual 24-hour sun in Antarctica. However, There is an actual sun during the day and a reflected sun at night, making Antarctica look like it is daytime for 24 hours during December and January each year. In addition, the sun at night in Antarctica looks different than the sun in Australia during the day. Eddie, we have enjoyed watching your videos and learning from them. We are coming from a place of love as fellow believers who want to know truth. Hence, why we traveled to Antarctica initially to see firsthand. We are asking you to please pray about this and ask the Ruach to guide to truth. Don't Sphere the Truth and Canal 104 Plus saw our comment. Thankfully, they used our video to recreate their own videos on their channels to help get the truth out. There is a reflected sun and inverted sun in Antarctica during December and January at night. We would like to give special thanks to Don't Sphere the Truth and Canal 104 Plus, who translated our video into Italian. Canal 104 Plus, we updated our email address. We are unable to contact you and have tried numerous times to let you know of the unintentional errors in our video. Thanks to those who helped us with the information for our videos. Concluding thoughts. Thank you for watching our videos on the Midnight Sun. Currently, our beliefs include: there was a reflected white sun at night in Antarctica. There was a duller inverted sun around midnight in Antarctica. Sometimes the reflected sun would be present without the actual sun. However, another time the reflected sun would be present with the actual sun. The reflected sun and inverted sun were reflections of the dome, just like double rainbows. We need others to go to Antarctica and confirm our findings. For those wanting to do further investigations, there are numerous issues with the globe model. 1. Solar eclipses. 2. Tsunamis never wrap around Antarctica. 3. Georgia Guidestones. 4. Chicago skyline. 5. Emergency landings. 6. Crepuscular sun rays. 7. Sun anelemmas. 8. Moon anelemmas. 9. Inverse square law of light. 10. Stars always stay in the same position in relation to each other all year round. Using a globe, the star's location should change as the Earth moves from one side of the sun to the other side of the sun, showing a different night sky. 11. The impossible day on the globe. 12. We could provide a plethora of videos, but maybe this document might help. The final experiment, TFE. With the final experiment, we saw these issues. 1. Shadows changing in unusual ways. 2. What looked like vaping. 3. Black and white symbolism. 4. A drone that never flew high in the sky, nor traveled far away. 5. What seemed to be LED Lego studio lighting. 6. No footprints. 7. Noise background analysis issues. 8. Minimal clothing worn for a cold environment. 9. Glowing behind bodies indicating LED screens. 10. Suspect verbal language. 1 small step for man. 1 giant leap for flat Earth. 11. Lens flares and clouds repeated at the beginning and the end of the 24-hour time-lapse video. 12. Delays in picking up snow and only picking up snow a distance away. Why not pick up the snow straight away? If there really are 24 hours of actual sun or reflected sun in Antarctica, why did TFE fake the 24-hour sun? Our footage confirms the firmament to stop us looking for the reflected sun and inverted sun. Our footage does not fit the globe model. The goal, to keep us divided, to keep us fighting. This would lead people to know that we have one Creator, our Father in heaven. His word is truth. John 17 verse 17. Take heed that no man deceives you. A must watch. The narrow path to salvation. Disclaimer. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Telegram.